Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today for our sixth segment of The Devil's in the Divorce Details. And today we'll be discussing how and when to tell the kids about the divorce. And I know this is such a huge worry for all the parents that are facing divorce. And before I introduce our special guest today, whose expertise is in children and divorce, I wanted to share with you the opening paragraph from a book that was written by Stu Webb, who is a lawyer that was actually the founder of the collaborative divorce concept. And this resonates with me, and I feel that it's very, very true. He says that every 32 seconds, a child in America witnesses his or her parents' divorce. And while divorce, even under the best circumstances, is marked by a range of emotions, disappointment, anger, hurt, betrayal, sadness, fear, and loss, just to name a few, research now reveals that how a couple conducts themselves during the divorce has a far greater impact on their children than the act of the divorce themselves. And I thought this was so apropos that we remind all of ourselves of this and that it fits so well with our presentation today. So now I'd like to introduce our very special guest presenter, Rosalind Sedacca. Rosalind has a wealth of knowledge and experience in helping parents talk to their children about divorce. In fact, she did an incredible storybook when she and her ex-husband got divorced for the benefit of their son. And her commitment to child-centered divorce is so evidenced in all of her accomplishments. And just to name a few, Rosalind is the founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network. She is a divorce and co-parenting coach, and she also authored the ebook, How Do I Tell the Kids About Divorce? Create a storybook guide to preparing your children with love. And in addition to her coaching services, she also provides ebooks, e-courses, and other valuable resources on divorce and co-parenting. And as I said, that's just to name a few. The list goes on. You can find Rosalind's contact information on her website, and that is childcentereddivorce.com. Again, it's childcentereddivorce.com. And so today we're looking so forward to having Rosalind share with us, her vast knowledge and expertise in this area. So welcome, Rosalind, and thank you so much today for so generously sharing your time and your expertise with us today. It was very special. And now I'm going to hand it over to Suzanne.
Great. Again, Rosalind, welcome. We can't thank you enough. We're so excited to have you here today to talk to us about how parents can talk to their children in divorce. Deb and I experienced at the Divorce Resource Center of Colorado that in helping parents divorce peacefully, we know that helping parents divorce amicably enables them to build a stronger co-parenting relationship post-divorce. And with that, the largest benefit being kids get better outcomes. But as divorce mediators, we encounter a lot of parents naturally who want to protect, love, and nurture their kids through this process, yet they don't know how to talk to them about their decision to divorce and what that means for their family. Parents ask us a lot of questions at the beginning of the process. And when we're working through their parenting plan, they ask questions like, how do I say it? When do I say it? Do we as parents have the conversation with our children together? How do I begin? How do I answer all their questions? How do I cope with tears, anger, pain, and then what? So Rosalind, we would love it if you can help us help parents understand how to start thinking through this and preparing for this conversation with their children.
Absolutely. Pleasure to be here with you. Thank you. So to start, you want to be thinking about your mindset because that's going to lay the foundation for everything related to the how do I tell the kids conversation. If both parents are together in understanding that despite the divorce, the one thing that we love more than anything else is our children, then they're equipped for handling this conversation and doing it right. So yes, you do want both parents to be together because you want children to feel that mom and dad together as a unit are talking about this. And this is something that mom and dad are aware of, and mom and dad are not pointing fingers at each other. This isn't the time for blame and shame and guilt and getting into the dirty side of the adult facets of divorce. This is a time to reassure your children that this is something that happened. Chances are that your children know that it's been happening for a while, and whether they are aware or not, it's going to be something frightening, intimidating, scary for the kids. And so the attitude of the parents is going to make a huge difference.
Mhm. So share with us how you might suggest. I know you have a story of how you presented it to your son and what you've seen is a great way for parents to bridge that conversation. Can you share that with us?
Certainly. So what you want to do is let your children know there's 6 key messages that need to be conveyed to the children. And if children hear that from both parents together, it's going to immediately reduce the level of anxiety and stress and fear that children have, because their parents are reassuring them that this is something different for us, but this is something that's okay to proceed with. So the first message that you want to convey is mom and dad are having a divorce and this is not your fault. Children very often are likely to blame themselves. Maybe if I got better grades in school, maybe if I wasn't fighting with my brother last month, who knows what they're thinking. And so it's very normal, even for children in their teens, to start thinking about that. And they have to immediately be told that what's going on with mom and dad is an adult issue. It has, even if we're fighting about you, it's not your fault. And that message has to be repeated again and again in the weeks and the months and even the years that follow, because kids are very likely to, on some level, feel that they created this. The second message is you are and always will be safe, because the foundation of a child's world is ultimately being torn apart in this conversation. And so they need security. That's the most important message. You're going to be safe. Mom and dad are taking care of it, and it's okay that this is happening. We don't want both parents to start saying, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could have happened to our family, or blaming one another for it. If both parents make it seem like this is something that we can get through, it's just an issue, but we're getting through it, the kids will feel that they can get through it as well. The third message is that mom and dad will always be your mom and dad, will always be your parents. And that's a huge reassurance for the kids. They're not losing mom or dad. There may be a divorce, whatever that means to our family, but we're not losing our parents. And of course, we really encourage parents not to do anything that's going to let the kids lose either one of those parents, because children love and need both parents. The fourth message is mom and dad will always love you, because it's easy for children to feel if mom stopped loving dad or vice versa, then maybe they're going to stop loving me at some point in time. And this is a horrible concept to even think about, and for a child to have floating through their minds. So we want to reassure them right from the beginning that they'll always be loved by mom and dad, and nothing about that is changing for the family. The fifth message is this is about change and not about blame. So we talk about change is very normal in life. The seasons change, our haircuts change, we change grades in school, we change sports, we change clothing. There's tons of things that change that we take for granted. This is a change in the form of our family. So we are still a family, but our family has changed, and maybe we're living in 2 different houses or an apartment or whatever that's going to be happening. But the change isn't the important thing. What's important is that we still are a family. And we get away from the blame. We don't talk about whose fault this is. We never talk about adult information to our children because they're helpless to make any changes. And so it's not their responsibility to be caught in our drama. And the last message is the reassurance that things are going to work out okay because mom and dad are working on it. So when you have the conversation, you don't have to have all the details. You don't have to have an explanation of who's living where and when this is happening. what you want to do is just let the kids know that things are changing ahead and mom and dad are taking care of it, and you could talk to mom or dad at any time, and we will reassure you because our family is going to get through this. And children will feel peaceful about that message alone, just understanding this. It's not the end of the world. We as a family will get through it.
Great. And Rosalind, is it appropriate? I agree with everything that you said, but I've wondered, you know, after the parents have this conversation with the children, is it appropriate for them then to talk to the grandparents, the extended family? So when the kids are with them and they ask about the divorce, I mean, is it important that everyone is on the same page so the message is uniform to the
Yes,
kids?
it's very helpful. The more uniform the message, the better. The more both parents can explain to extended family and grandparents that this is the way we want it. We don't want to be bad-mouthing one another. We don't want you bad-mouthing the other side of the marriage. We want everyone to be talking about this as a change that's happening, and it's all going to be okay. Kids need to be reassured. And then we are showing them we are stepping up and making mature, responsible decisions that's going to reinforce the fact that this is okay. And if it's okay for the parents, it's going to be okay for the kids. They are much more adaptable and flexible. It's when we create drama that the kids pick up on the drama, and that's what's frightening. It's not divorce per se that's a bad thing. It's how parents handle the divorce that creates the drama, the trauma, the insecurities, the fears, the anxieties, and all of the negative after effects that children may have.
Rosalind, would you mind sharing with us the very tangible method or way that you can convey this, the way that you conveyed it in your situation?
What I did was created a storybook in advance, and I put together pictures of family photos from when we first got married over the years, when we had my son, and all the occasions, the holidays and birthdays and vacations and all the things that families remember. And I put it together in a photo album. And then I wrote the text, and the text is about these messages that we conveyed. It's the attitude that children don't understand that life existed before they were born. So it's hard for them to understand there's a continuum of life, that mom and dad met and had many happy months or years together before things may have gone sour. There may have been problems, and kids may have been picked up on that. They may have had many happy years of childhood, and then suddenly things are not the same, and they've been exposed to fighting and tension and conflict. And very often they're aware that something is wrong. So it's what we're doing is being very honest and saying mom and dad have been fighting, or things have not been good at home. And mom and dad decided that life would be more peaceful if we both lived in separate houses. We'd still be a family. We'd still love one another. We'd still spend some time with one another. But when you're with mom, life will be smoother and easier. When you're with dad, it'll be smoother and easier. And things are going to continue and be okay. And with that kind of message, kids can adapt. So having it in a storybook gives the kids the ability to look at that storybook when you're having the conversation, and you read it, it becomes a text. So you don't go off, you don't say, oh, I forgot to say this, I should have mentioned that. It's written for you right there. The kids are looking at it. It's a story about us, our family. And the kids can reread it over and over again in the days and weeks and months after the initial conversation. Because yes, there's going to be many conversations about this. This isn't a one-time conversation. This is something that's going to go on again and again, and depending on the age of the children and the questions they ask. So you have this storybook in their hands. And what I did is created fill-in-the-blank templates so parents can customize some of the factors about their family, so it's very personal, but the text is written by me in advance so that they get this kind of a message and they don't forget what to say. And no matter how you do it, if you adapt it in any way along those lines, it's something the parents are talking about and preparing in advance. There's no surprises, and nothing is left out. And that makes you feel more confident right from the get-go. And it also gives the parents the incentive to continue in creating what I call a child-centered divorce, because that's the most important thing of all, is to understand that you are just beginning the journey of co-parenting together long after the divorce.
That's wonderful.
What I love about that is what it does is it takes the child out of the middle, and it says, I love your word change. I love how it gives the parents time to think through how they want to present it. Putting that together is very thoughtful. The child can take it with them when they want to or refer, but it also gives them a way to say, I'm a competent parent. I'm confident in what I'm doing. We can do this as co-parents. And it really focuses on universal truths and not answering a child's question, which a lot of times parents get dragged down a rabbit hole because that's not what the child's asking. They're asking what you're saying. Do you love me? Am I safe? I think it's wonderful the way that you're even, this approach that you've created to this, what people think is very complicated, you've kind of distilled it to something very simple and action oriented.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. And one thing that I have always wondered about, Rosalind, is, you know, through all my years of doing this, I found all kinds of information written about creating meaningful parenting plans based on developmental stages of children. And I've seen them from birth to age 18. And over the last, many years, I have been working in the silver divorce area. It's the baby boomers that are getting divorced, and they have the 20-somethings. And one of the things that I have heard from those parents is the 20-somethings internalize everything. And so we don't know really, they won't talk to us. Are they doing okay? You know, how can you, are there any tips that you have to talk about how we can understand better what our 20-somethings might be experiencing?
Well, it's important. It's important with children of all ages to let them know that they are heard and what they feel counts. So that's really important. So give your kids a space to rant and rage, to vent, to scream, to hate you, and do whatever they are feeling at the time. It may change, it may stay the same, but what we need to do is use active listening and say, I hear you. So you're feeling very angry at me about this or that. And it works very well with adult children in their 20s, saying acknowledging that they have the right to feel what they're feeling, hearing what they're saying, and then say, this is what Dad and I are doing regardless. This is what we've decided to do, and it's your life as an adult to do it. The important thing is that you're letting your kids know they matter, they count, you're taking them into consideration. With older children, you want to ask their opinion. With younger children, you don't, because you don't want kids involved in making adult decisions. And you don't want them to feel the guilt of saying, I chose mom over dad, or vice versa. That's a horrible place for a child to be. So when they're younger, you want to be making decisions. When they're adults, you want to be talking to them about their decisions and not making them wrong for feeling what they're feeling.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. That's great. Well, in the interest of time, Rosalind, is there one tip that you can leave with us before we wrap up about how to start, where to start this process?
Well, you have to remember that you're role models for your children, and that they are watching not only what you're saying, but how you're saying it and what you're doing and everything else. How are you role modeling handling conflict as two adults living in a relationship, and suddenly that relationship is changing its form? Because your kids are learning, they may be very frightened about their own relationships in the future. They may have deep insecurities, they may have wounds, they may be very resentful. But if you are role modeling respectful behavior, and respect is such a key all the way through divorce, then your kids are going to pick up that it's okay to make changes and shifts. Doesn't mean we have to be mean-spirited to one another. And we also need to remind parents that co-parenting after divorce is a lifelong endeavor. I have an adult son, and I have a grandchild now, and this is something that continues, the co-parenting. So we want to start on the best footing, learn the best skills, and that's basically honing communication skills so that you're doing things in the best possible way, using online tools for calendars and things along those lines so that you can reduce conflict as much as possible by scheduling everything online. And then you can have a civilized divorce that's going to work on behalf of everyone in the family, especially the kids.
Right.
Rosalind, you have an ebook that's available to people that you're offering. Is that something they can just access on your website?
Yes, at childcentereddivorce.com, right on the homepage, is Post-Divorce Parenting, Success Strategies for Getting It Right. It's a free downloadable ebook, and it has a lot of this kind of message and more in depth, because co-parenting has so many facets to it. But if you start with the right attitude and you're open and receptive to learning together as co-parents, your children will thank you when they're grown adults, as my son did. And that's the greatest reward you could ever ask for.
Oh, absolutely. Gosh, thank you so much, Rosalind, for all this information. You know, our children are precious, and they really do deserve caring and loving transition into the next chapter of their lives.
Yeah.
And I think the way that you've presented your storybook and the ideas in the free ebook are certainly a great way to get it off to a good start and help the parents not make a mistake then. So
thank you.
Well, that wraps up our segment on the how and when to tell the kids about the divorce today. And again, we both do so appreciate you sharing some of your Friday afternoon with us down in beautiful Florida, Rosalind, and also everyone in the audience. We do appreciate it. And we ask that, you tune in next week, same time, same place. And our segment next week will be preparing for the divorce process itself. So I think you'll find that very informative and give you some ideas too on how you can get a head start on getting ready for it. So, and a big thank you, Rosalind, for all the valuable information. And I'm sure that we'll all be visiting the website to learn a whole bunch more about it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and it was a Friday afternoon you shared with us too. So thank you for that at the end of the week. And everyone, if any of you have missed any of our prior segments, they are on the DRCC YouTube channel, or if you'd like to read the blog, you can visit our website at drcofcolorado.com. Again, it's drcofcolorado.com. So again, thank you for joining us this afternoon, and please stay safe and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you all.